In a further sign of Russia's long-term commitment to Syria, Moscow says that it plans to establish a permanent naval base at the Syrian port of Tartus. Russian Deputy Defense Minister Nikolai Pankov says necessary documents are already prepared and are in the process of being approved. The naval base sits on the site of an existing facility that Russia has leased from Syria. Moscow has been beefing up its military presence in that country. It deployed the advanced S-300 surface-to-air missiles in Tartus last week. This as the U.S. has stepped up anti-Syria rhetoric. Russia inherited the naval facility at Tartus when the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991. The base is of immense strategic importance, as is Russia's sole foothold in the Mediterranean Sea. Gordon Duff is senior editor at Veterans Today, joining us from Ohio. So if we want to take a look at what message this is sending out in particular to the U.S., what do you think?
Well, one of the things Russia is making clear is that they're standing behind the Assad government, that with this being a permanent base, with the air base nearby being a permanent base, these bases are intended to be their recognition that whatever negotiations, they're in Syria to stay, and whatever government Syria ends up with. And this is the side Russia is being very clear about, that Russia is going to be a military presence in Syria. It's going to be a military presence in the Eastern Mediterranean. And this is being done in the light of recent moves by the U.S., by France in particular, recent events at the United States, or the United Nations rather, that have made it clear that the West is really militarily aligning with ISIS, particularly with al-Nusra, that any idea of moderate opposition, of any kind of negotiated settlement in Syria has been entirely a farce. That the West is looking toward a military victory against not only Syria, but a military victory against Russia in what looks to be a wider conflict that they feel is going to run all the way through Ukraine up to the Baltic. This is a very, very dangerous time, and Russia is drawing a line in the sand, and they're doing it, as they so often do, in a totally legal context, which really points out that the West is operating entirely illegally. There's no UN resolution allowing military force to be used inside Syria, and certainly there's no UN resolution that allows the current threats against the Syrian government by the U.S., France, and others to have any standing. And Russia, we believe, may come to blows with France, the U.S., and even Britain over this base and over the defense of Syria.
Thank you for that, Gordon Duff, senior editor at Veterans Today from Ohio.